Hi everyone, Ron here, and this is Variable Play. And we have here Monique and Naveen.
Hey,
Hi.
thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
For you
Hey,
play.
Ooh,
Yes.
We
Hi,
are
how are
so
you?
excited.
I
We're sorry that we went on an hour early. we
Yeah.
we forgot to factor in a few things, but thank you for joining
surprise.
us. Surprise!
Yeah, it's because when we first talked and we first met, the
It
time
wasn't
difference was
implemented
what it
yet, right?
was, and then the change in
Yeah,
time,
the daylight
the
savings.
I
daylight
was like,
saving.
oh
yeah,
man, yes, I
so
remember now.
so it's
Yeah.
DST,
Mhm.
where
That
where
was fun.
humans pretend, oh, it's not 1 o'clock.
Yeah,
It's
exactly. Yeah,
And
you
just
guys
getting
have it
in.
right over there.
Yeah, it's not a good
Hey,
practice.
well, I
hello
guess it
everybody.
doesn't curve as I don't know why we invented DST.
It makes no sense.
I mean, I get it for
So
like the countries where
I
like the
love it.
evenings just prolong.
Hmm.
Mhm.
It's already midnight and you're still going. There's still daylight.
Right.
What's going on? What's wrong
Lazy
here?
people. Hey,
That's
hey,
funny.
Morgan.
It is
Hi.
Hey.
evening right now
Morgan.
in
Good
In
evening.
their
so
place.
10 p.m. right for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
Yep.
10 p.m.
Yep, and it's afternoon. So again, we
Okay,
apologize, but thank you for
so
joining. I'm Denmark. That's
yeah,
Abby
thank
who's
you
on
everyone
mute.
for the
Thank,
quick join in.
Hi.
and we would
Great.
like
Right.
to thank you, Monique and Avin,
Yeah. Thanks
for
for having
actually saying yes to us.
Yeah,
Yeah, of
thank
course.
you for making it to the show. And
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
people who actually
And
can talk about board games and not just us.
People who have credibility.
yes, we're just blabbering. They actually are the legit ones that can actually teach games. We're just
Oh,
That's more Monique.
no.
Yeah, she's the teacher. Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right,
actually,
so
you know what? Just for like, I decided to like, kind of like check out your most recent videos. You guys just had one for it's a Kickstarter one for you're trying to run a hospital.
Oh, Hippocrates.
There,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, the board, the layout looked hella confusing.
it's
But when it
huge.
came to the explanation, you're like, oh, okay, all right, it
Yes.
translated so well. This is like, okay, I think I can actually play this already.
Right. Right. Right.
That's great. Yeah, it's very
right
straightforward,
then.
yeah.
actually.
Yeah, that one's designed by one of the three designers of Trois,
Have you
Alan
played?
Orban.
Mm,
Have you guys played Trois before?
I
no.
heard the
No, that's a
title,
No.
long
but
game,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, that one.
but I'm familiar with it.
It's
Yeah,
about 10 years old. That one's a
it's
pretty
older.
mean, cutthroat game. It's
Very
you
clever.
have dice and you're trying to allocate the dice, and you can steal other people's dice.
Yeah,
It's a really
Ah,
interesting game. Yeah.
yeah.
so it's somewhat like a dice drafting, but
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
steal.
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
Technically,
Something
Wow,
like that.
that is
everybody's
a
dice are not safe.
Yeah,
oh,
that's one
that
of the
is
cooler
Yeah.
games.
interesting
Hmm.
because
All
like I
right.
thought dice drafting was a fairly new mechanic.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Cool,
Okay.
cool, cool.
So we
yeah.
know
So
Monique
go
and
then, Mark.
Aveen from Before You Play, and of course we would like to get to know you more. So maybe you can take this time for you guys to actually say a few things about yourselves, how you started, how'd you get your name before
Sure.
you play.
Yeah,
Sure. Yeah,
absolutely.
take it away.
So we wait, you want to what?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
We've been making videos on YouTube for like a year and a half now. And we do primarily two-player playthroughs. We
Hmm.
started off as a tutorial channel. So if you if you look at some of our oldest videos, which is actually really embarrassing, we don't really recommend it.
Yeah.
But if you do, you'll see that it's all primarily tutorials, how to play, how to teach games, and it was mainly me at the time.
Hmm.
And then he joined on like a month later, and we started doing playthroughs.
Yeah, I was just kind of helping with
Yeah.
the equipment and setup, but then Monique was the one teaching the games in front of the camera.
Mhm.
And then about 2-3 months into that, that's when we started doing playthroughs
Yeah.
and with the reviews and things like that.
We thought, let's just try it,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
That we could still teach a game and do a playthrough
Right.
at the same time, and that's just kind of what stuck. So that's what we're doing now.
Okay.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark mentioned here he learned Fort. I mentioned
Oh,
this
nice.
to
Oh,
you
Yeah.
nice.
guys when we first met. And
Awesome.
this is also how I learned how to play Fort. So
Oh, okay.
I watched your reviews like that is a lot straightforward. I mean,
Hmm.
most multi-use card games can become complex, but
Mhm.
Right.
if you I've seen other people teach it,
Yeah.
and they didn't do as well as John.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
So
you.
so the small reminder, especially when you're sort of going through your pace in the game,
Mhm.
really works.
Oh,
I
that's
learned
awesome.
this from them the other day.
Oh, Mysterium Park. Nice.
Nice, nice.
So, hey, if you guys have questions, maybe we could reserve that for later. But right now, since we have testimonies from at least from each of us that they're really good at teaching games, and the reason that they're here is precisely to talk about that and how they go through the process of learning a game. So let's say you have this new game, you're really excited. What do you do for you to what goes to the process of you learning it? Do you do a ritual? Do you actually
Yeah,
do something else?
it's like a yeah. I was the one who came up with this question because, like, for the life of me, I get a new game, I read the rule book from start to finish, and I comprehend nothing.
Oh.
Nothing is absorbed. So that was a waste of time. But if
That's
I
funny.
Cool.
if I open it and then I just follow it one by one and already lay it out and sort of like slowly follow the instructions with the tactile component, it starts to click better for
Mhm.
me. So it
Mhm.
depends, I guess, on what type of learner you are. So I
Yeah.
was very interested of like how you guys actually learn all of these games, because there's you guys made a lot of tutorials, so you have
Mhm.
to learn them first
Right,
before
Yeah.
you can teach
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So it's been a process. I would say that I
It
learned.
starts with Monique.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I learned pretty much all of them first.
Mhm.
And before, when we first started getting into the hobby, we were playing a lot of games, and it used to be where Vital Lacerda's games like Lisboa, and
Okay.
Yes,
his
yes.
games are the ones that really helped me understand heavier games or understand the
Yeah.
process of learning a game better, because they require so much attention when you
Right.
learn them. So before, when I first started, I would have to set up the game also, just like you were mentioning. I would set up the game and I would read all the rules and move the pieces myself. And then eventually, especially when we started making videos, we had to learn games really quickly in order
Right.
to put out a video fast. So now I just read the rule book, and I can pretty much understand
Wow.
how to play
See,
it.
Ron.
So
Just read the rule book, Ron.
Yeah.
No.
Well, that's the kind of learner that Monique is.
I'm
Even
a-
in school,
I learned from reading.
from reading is the
Mhm.
main way. For me, I'm more of a
I
visual and I need to feel the components. So
Mhm.
if I
Right.
lay out a game and I'm like, okay, that's what the black pieces do, that's what the white pieces do, then it helps me understand better. If I was just a pure read, I would just have an idea as to what's going on in the game,
Mhm.
the general gist and the mechanics, but
Mhm.
not like what Monique can do. She can just take the book, read it, and then she knows how to play
Well,
it.
I used to have to lay it out, but I learned. I guess I just learned a strategy as to. I really study when you open the rule book and there's like the setup, right? There's usually a picture
Mhm.
of the game setup. I study that.
Mhm.
I'll like look
Mhm.
at what all the pieces look like, and then I'll read the rule book. And whenever it refers to a piece, I'll go back to that map and like
The components
look at
list.
what that
Okay.
component looks
Yeah.
like.
Mhm.
So you're
So
kind
I
of
think I
Interesting
visualizing.
strat.
Yeah. So if I
Wow.
realize that, because that part is probably the worst part of the whole learning process. I hate having to look at the setup. But if I do it that way, I learned that I can actually regurgitate the
Right.
rules.
Because you're familiar with the pieces, and
pieces.
what they're even referencing in the rule book
Mhm.
to then kind of paint a picture.
And then when you lay it out, now you know what all the pieces are.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So that
I'm kind of on the same boat with Naveen. That I want to set it up because sometimes you're reading through the book, it references something. You just say, "What was that again?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know what card that you're talking about. But if
Right.
it was all laid out, just like okay, that deck of cards, I get
Mhm.
it. Okay.
yes, and yes,
Yeah.
some rule books are really bad. That
Yeah,
is
exactly.
true.
So
Yes.
with that comment, like, how do you handle like bad rule books? Like, we have this favorite game, Aftermath, and until now, I think we're still making up rules. It's like, I think this is how it works.
Yeah,
Then
it
you
should
go
just
to
come.
read the
It
rule
should
book
just
and-
come with a page that when all else fails, house rule it.
When you go to BGG and everybody's still asking the same question, that doesn't help.
Yeah.
So, how do you
Yeah,
guys
Yeah.
do
we'll
it?
do that. We'll go to BGG and see
Yeah.
if the designer has made a comment about it, and if they have, then that's great. If not, then we just try to figure it out as best as we can.
Yeah, it really depends. We'll try to play the game anyway,
Mhm.
and I'll write down all my questions. And if it's a game for like a publisher or a game that's not released, because those games don't have like tutorials out there yet, right? Then I'll email
Right.
the designer.
Yeah.
I'll just email them and tell them that we're
Wow,
building.
so you can't sleep if you can't figure out the game.
Well,
it
Especially if we're going to
sticks in-
showcase the game,
Yeah.
then we want to make sure we don't just assume the rules
Yes.
and then teach it
We've
wrong.
done that before.
So we'll reach out to the publisher or to the designer and
Yeah.
see if there's a way that they can kind of
Yeah.
clarify.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the big difference with the reviewer, because you guys are getting games that don't have any video content yet that will teach you how to play the game. Like for us, we can search the internet and
Yeah.
see how it's played and then read the rule book. That's kind of how I do it. I would go Rado and you guys and
Mhm.
just jump through the different playthroughs and sort of absorb it over
Right.
time,
Yeah.
and then read the rules while setting up.
Yeah.
Right.
But
yeah.
you guys can't do that because you're getting a game that nobody has seen yet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
And sometimes the rules change.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
that,
okay.
that does happen, right?
Yeah, it happens a
you're
lot
teaching it.
actually.
All right. So with that being said, what was the worst or
Yeah.
what was the most challenging game?
Okay, there.
You
That's a
have to
better way to
learn.
phrase it.
I'm sorry.
Because
I
of
think I have
the
an
rule-
answer.
Is
If
it
you-
because the rule book is bad, or because the game is difficult? I guess.
You can answer both.
I guess.
Both
yeah.
will benefit us.
But it,
I think if I know Monique I think it's going to be CO2, which is a
Oh.
Vitalis sort of game, which we really like, but
The
the
rule
rule
book
book
is
is so bad, and I think that's the one that you would
I think
say.
for me it's a tie between CO2, Obsession. If you've heard of
Obsession,
Obsession,
yes.
it's a
Mhm,
Dan
yes.
Mulligan game. It's about like Victorian. It has a really strange theme. It's about Victorian era courtship,
Courtship, yeah.
like Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah.
So the theme is
Right,
strange.
right,
The
All
game
right,
is really good.
this is a relatively recent game, right?
Yeah,
about
relatively
2 years ago, maybe. Yeah.
Yes.
With the cover of a large garden. if I'm
Yes.
not
Yes.
mistaken,
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
All right.
uh-huh.
Got the white box. Yeah,
The
exactly.
rule book is very bad. It's like an essay. It's all
Yes.
just like words.
It's an essay.
The game is really good. So
Yes.
it's worth getting through the rule book.
How do
and
you
High Rise.
even-
Another one.
How do you even get through that? Like, if the rules are bad, like, how do you see that there's a good game underneath? Like, I don't.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
Those ones I'll have to set it up, and then we'll have to go like
Right.
page by page.
I will say for Obsession specifically, we were in touch with the designer, so he was
Yeah.
kind of guiding us and clearing things up for us.
Mhm. Yeah,
Do you even get to-
Sorry.
Can you give them feedback on like how bad their rules are?
He in that case
Yeah.
he was aware.
He was aware.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when
Okay.
he sent us the game, and then he told us like, "Look, I know that the rule book can be improved upon," is what he said.
Yeah, pretty much.
So he knew. Um,
Okay.
but
okay.
the most complicated game I think has been On Mars.
Yeah, that one's it's just a very heavy
Yeah.
strategy
Wow.
game. So
Right.
there's a lot of pieces there.
Lacerda games, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that one was the hardest. For a lot of people, it's Lisboa, but for me, it was On Mars. Like that game is hard to conceptualize.
Mhm.
I think.
Clint said index, glossary, and a lot of illustrated examples help a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good examples are Nemo's War, Gloomhaven.
Oh, Spirit
Yeah.
Island has
Island.
an excellent.
Those rule books that take the time to like put pictures, like even with like arrows and stuff, just to kind of give you an idea of where everything should be happening as they explain it,
Mhm.
are really
Yeah.
helpful. But like for what you mentioned, like if it's just all words, if it's just an essay,
Oh
it's all
yeah.
happening in your head. If you don't have it set up, you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know what they're talking about.
Right. Yeah.
The painful ones that I remember are the ones where they have a term for every action or component. Like it's the
You
same token, but because
Android
it's used in
Netrunner.
in this scenario, they're the ones like soldiers or peons, and
Oh,
and then there's this big chart for all of the possible resolutions, and so
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
lot of the Pax
That's-
Renaissance.
yeah. I was
Uh,
thinking that.
So there,
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great game, but
Mhm.
I think I only understand maybe like 60% of it. So
Yeah.
the other 40%, I just don't attempt to
Yeah.
perform because
You
I don't
don't
know
attempt to
how to
perform.
resolve them. It's like,
It's like, we're not playing that part of the game.
it's like I'll let other people like figure. But the problem is when they would ask, like, Ron, how does this work? I actually don't know.
Ron, what do these cards do? Put them back in the box now.
Hey, we would also like to say congratulations to you guys. It's a
Oh,
good thing
thank
Oh
that
you.
yeah, thank you.
Ace brought this up. You
I know
are now
you guys
part.
have been. Yes,
Go on.
you're now part of Watch It Play.
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
And you guys have been working with Rodney since last year, right?
So we started talking with
October.
him back in October, and then I think he officially announced it on his channel in February
Mhm.
sometime. And so now we've released a couple videos, and
We have a couple
more planned to be
planned.
released.
But yeah, it has been a process. You
Mhm.
know, there's always that like process of starting something new, and so that's kind of where we are right now. But it's been really good. Yeah, he's really nice. Rodney's the best.
Yeah.
The best.
Yes, and he never drops his the box.
His box.
No, yeah, he's
The box.
yeah. I don't know how many times he has to do that. That's insane.
He just
Yeah.
rolls it, and
He made a
after
Yeah.
100 tries, if he catches it, that's it.
like, guys, I never drop it.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, video. Video.
yeah. And it's amazing too because when he takes the box off the shelf, it's never like dinged up or broken or
He
anything
doesn't
like
drop
that.
it.
So he literally doesn't drop it. He
doesn't
won't
drop
drop it. I guess is the
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, it might
He
not.
has a
There
lot of
may
those.
be some kind of blooper reel or something
Yeah.
out there.
No, that's what he explained. Like he said, I can't make a blooper reel because
Yeah.
I've never dropped my box.
He
never
So he showed, and he kept throwing it
Yeah.
in the same take. Like, see,
So-
I don't
He was
drop it.
dropping it.
It's like,
There's
okay.
the video.
I gotta check that out.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we've talked about difficult games and you guys learning it. Maybe we could go a little into details of how you actually structure your tutorials and eventually the playthrough. Cause I learn a lot of new games from you guys. I'm on halfway through Ginkopolis.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
nice.
so
That game was
Okay,
fun.
That was great.
and then we had to go live. I'm like, okay, wait, pause this
Oh.
one. so how do you structure it? Well, maybe a peek behind the scenes, how you prepare or what's going through your head while you're gonna do this. Oh, we need to do it this way. We need to explain it that way.
Mhm.
Stuff like those.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have any answer to that?
Well, we'll typically play the game a few times, or a couple times before we actually film it. So
Mhm.
then, after we've played it, we kind of talk and say, okay, what is the main structure? How do we want to present the game?
We don't really do it until right when we're about to film.
Yeah.
So it's just sometimes the games that we're going to cover is taught to me. Oh, Ruel!
Hey, Ruel.
Ruel, nice to see you. Sorry.
Bye.
So
we are Ruel's board game breakfast. He says
Oh,
it.
nice.
When he wakes up, turns on, and he sees us it's like 7 a.m. Get coffee and then us.
oh, that's
What
nice.
What are these bumbling guys talking about? What else?
All right, we're sorry.
Oh, no,
Okay.
good, yeah.
Oh no, yeah.
Go ahead.
no problem. So sometimes we'll have to teach a game that was not a game that I had to read from the rule book. Like
Right.
maybe we were taught a game, and now
Mhm.
this is a game that we're going to cover. So it's really important for me to reteach it to Naveen or to somebody just
In
so we
your
have
own
that
way.
practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least once. And then right
Mm.
before we're going to film, when Naveen is setting up, I typically will read the rule book. I'll like just skim it just to make sure that we have the rules right because there's always some mistake in these,
There's always
in these
something wrong. Yeah.
videos.
Mhm.
So then we just kind of wing it. If the rule book is, yeah, all that.
Well,
You are speaking our language.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go from general to specific, though.
Yeah,
That's important,
I have a basic structure of like how I teach any game.
Right.
And it's
How do you do that?
It's
Yeah.
always
What's your basic
general to
structure?
specific.
Yeah, he needs to know. Tell him.
Okay, the important thing for me whenever I teach a game is you always go from general to specific. Like there's a lot of times
Okay.
when I'll go into a game where somebody else is teaching and they just start saying mechanics. They'll just saying like if it's a trick taking game, they'll say like, okay, whoever has the trick. And it's like, what is a trick? You know, like they assume a lot of
Mhm.
knowledge from their listeners. And for me, it's really important that you never assume any knowledge from anybody.
Right.
Just start with what the game is about. How many rounds is this game? What is it going to take to win? Right.
Mhm.
And then go into turn structure.
Turn structure. Yeah.
That's like always the formula that I follow. It's because I feel like for me, if I were to get taught it that way, it's easier for me to
Mhm.
compartmentalize it that way. I guess.
Yeah. What are we doing? Who are we in the game? How does a round look?
And then how do the actions
How do
look?
the actions within that round
Yeah.
get
Unless
performed?
unless it's a game that has a very unique thank
Oh,
you.
thanks.
Unless it's a game that has a very unique mechanic that is unique, like that's not really seen in other games, it's kind of difficult to understand, then I'll never go into mechanics first. If the game does have a mechanic like that, then I might start by explaining a little bit of that bit, just so it's not like a culture shock when we
Right.
first start talking about it,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Just because it helps paint the overall picture. That's the point.
Mhm.
And if the
Yeah,
rule book
it-
is structured like that already, then it helps. It helps me the most.
Yeah, it does help when a rule book has that same kind of funnel kind of system. You know.
If it's a really, really complicated game, like any of the Vitalis Dota games, I have a notebook to my side and I will just write it down,
Mhm.
just like theme and then round structure, just so I remember to hit all the points.
Yeah.
But that's the only time that we'll take notes, I guess.
Mhm.
I have a little bit of a follow-up question to that. So, like when I teach board games, I'm introducing a game to friends, I kind of adjust based on who's on the table.
Sure.
You know, if I'm teaching it to Denmark and Ron, I can reference other games that they're familiar with, or if it's like first timers, that there's a certain way to handle it. You guys have, your videos are going out to like a general audience. So, like you said, like what you never assume knowledge, and then you follow third order. Is there like a certain way that you approach teaching games because of your audience being general?
Yeah, so we try to avoid terms that only gamers would know. I guess, I guess it also depends on the game. So if it's a really, really involved game that I know that probably the people who are going to be watching this are seasoned gamers, that I can be a little bit more loose about that
Yes,
rule.
yeah.
But if it's a game like recently we put out a video for Stardew Valley, the board game, if you're familiar with
Yes,
that video
yes.
game. Yeah, and so when we were filming it,
Ron
we
loves that
figured-
game.
Yeah,
Can
the-
go on
Oh, yeah.
forever.
Yeah. That's
that-
cool.
yeah, that game is so good. It's a forever game. So when we were filming it, we figured that not everybody who's going to watch are going to be board gamers,
Yes.
right? Because they're coming from the IP.
Mm.
Yeah, we assumed a lot of
Yes.
people who were just going to see it were fans of Stardew Valley, the video game, so they didn't know what a worker placement was
Yeah,
or anything about round structure. So we didn't want to assume that and say, okay, this is a worker placement game.
yeah. They're
because
gonna
we knew that
draft
audience-
this or- yeah. So we just try to avoid board gaming terminology,
Mhm.
I guess, and just keep it general. But you're right. If we're teaching just to like our friends, or we don't teach this way at all. We it's
yeah.
a lot more abbreviated.
Oh yeah, we'll be like, okay, you know how a round structure is in Spirit Island. Okay, it's
Exact
kind of
same
like
way.
that, but with scythe.
Right.
Like, yeah, we'll make it like that. Totally.
Yeah, that's how I end up teaching,
Yeah.
especially when it's like gaming sessions. The only time I probably really adjust is like when we used to do conventions, or if I'm teaching a game to first timers.
Mhm.
But you guys are like pretty much every how-to video you guys are putting out is not really an assumption, but you are kind of starting off that they don't know anything about the game.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is even for heavy games,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
Vita Lacerda games, where there's a certain expectation. It's not a core general gamer market.
Yeah.
It's people are really more involved with Euros.
Right.
You are still assuming that they're just interested in the theme,
Mhm.
and you don't want to culture shock them. Okay, welcome to this
Right.
Euro
Sure.
game. It's 3
Right.
hours.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
true. For games that are really involved or really heavy like that, we try to pinpoint what part of this game is the most difficult to understand. Like,
Yeah.
what is the part that confuses people the most? And part of that was from our experience, because we used to teach games at our local convention also. And I've run Lisboa a lot, and so when I teach Lisboa, I have the same questions from people coming up. So we'll try to focus on those problem areas.
Right. Yep,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, like in Lisboa,
Yeah,
people have a hard time understanding how a turn
The
works.
actual
Like,
turn
what do I do?
structure,
I
yeah.
play a card. What do I do? Right. So that's the focus usually.
Wow.
And
So
it shows.
being able to identify the confusing parts is a big factor, because people are then a little bit more sort of open. They kind of open up their understanding. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is a little bit more confusing, so let me
Mhm.
listen. Like you kind of preempt them to focus more.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
yeah, that's important.
I find that if you're confused, I know I'm this way. If I'm confused about a topic and somebody's already moved on from that topic, my brain is not ready to transition to this new topic. I'm still
It is
kind of
gone.
like, I need that information.
Yeah.
And then now I find myself 5 minutes behind, and then you're it all falls apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, we game the same way. I like we just played Arnak today.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
And halfway through an explanation, like, no, we're going back to your previous explanation.
Yeah.
like, we're not proceeding. I don't understand it just yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good. That's good that you're identifying that.
Yeah.
That's really important. Yeah.
And in your videos, you get this feeling of a combination of it's tactile because after you explain it, you actually play it already.
Mhm.
Then the visuals are really clear. It's really nice, especially when the things that you do when it's smaller and then you have to zoom in and you add it post edit. I'm sure you do, right? And it's amazing how you do these videos, and we really appreciate that. And
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
you can see people learn. I also noticed that even though you don't dwell too much on the theme when you introduce that game, I still learned. I'm more of a keeper.
Yeah.
It has to connect in my brain. We had this episode of the disconnects. What happens that you don't like, and one of the things that I don't like is that there's this disconnect, even though it's a thematic game, like in Wingspan. You can just get whatever egg that you get.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
To someone. It's like,
Yeah.
what? That doesn't happen. But even with you guys, it's like
They're in an
amazing.
open
I can
community.
learn.
Yeah.
An open community. All right. So
That's funny.
I'm curious then. So what's the best rule book for you guys? If we talked about the worst ones
Oh, the worst.
or the most difficult ones, what was easier for you? What was the easiest
Easy
one
rule
for
book.
you?
Oh well, the thing is, if you're
That-
going with
that you
easy,
enjoy.
like they even talked about like the top 10 games that they like each other don't like. Like Star Realms can be taught in under 5 minutes.
That's
Yeah.
true.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
I was just saying so that people have an idea of what would be an easy rule book that they could understand, as opposed to
What
a
do they
difficult rule book that they will have to really work on. That was actually what I'm getting at.
Trying to look at the shelf.
I thought that for a heavy game, I thought that Lisboa had a good rule book. I mean, that might not be a good example because anybody who picks up the rule book is going to be overwhelmed by
Yeah.
the number of pages there are. But for it being a heavy game, it's structured well.
the flow.
I think. Yeah, the flow.
The flow of
The
everything.
flow
yeah.
is that
Mhm.
like that flow is how I like to teach games. So that's like a good example of a good way to just teach a game, I guess. So, but otherwise, the lighter the game,
Yeah, the lighter the
easier.
game.
Like-
There's got to be something. Now I can't think of anything right now. Yeah.
Okay, so while you are thinking, Wilson had a good comment here. It's good to ask questions because it also educates other players about the rules.
Yes.
Sometimes you assume other people know it already.
Yep.
yes, that's true.
So wait,
So
I think
my question-
oh, go ahead. Sorry, I just thought of one, but I'll go right after.
Yeah, so my question there would be like, how do you encourage people to actually ask questions?
Online
Because
is
sometimes
hard.
you,
Yeah,
Mhm.
it is. How do
At conventions when I teach games, I'll before I start teaching, I'll say if anybody has a question, just raise your hand, because sometimes people will interject while I'm in the middle of something, and then it kind of breaks the flow of everything. And then to the other people that were learning it, they were following along except for that one person. So I say, if you just put up a hand and I'll get to you right after I finish this thing that I'm talking about. So that way I can definitely go back and handle whatever questions you have. And I try to wrap up that little subject that I was talking about so I can get to that person's question ASAP, because I don't want them to go down that rabbit hole of I'm not paying attention anymore because my question has not been answered yet. So
for
that's
me,
what I try to do.
when it's a live teach like that at a local convention, I'll stop after every major section.
And just
And I'll
confirm.
just we won't move on until
Yeah.
everybody
You should do that.
understands.
Yeah, I agree. I tend to do that. I do like a comprehension check. Like, everyone good?
Yeah.
Can I proceed?
Yep.
Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, but online it's difficult. We I think the thing about doing YouTube is you just have to respond to comments.
Mhm.
So if people see that you respond to comments, then they feel a little bit more inclined to ask questions.
Yeah.
I think.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So for other people that want to learn how to teach games, do you guys have any or do you identify any specific pitfalls that someone might find themselves in when they're trying to teach games? I mean, like you mentioned, using gamer terminology, but are
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
other things that might lead to even confusing people rather than teaching them the game?
Usually when people so for some games people get really excited about a specific mechanic that might not even be the main point of the game, and they'll just start by explaining that right away. So I hesitate. I usually hesitate in jumping into mechanics first. Like always, the structure. It's always about skeleton first, right? So hi.
Hey.
So I think just keeping that in mind, like painting the bigger picture first before you talk about specifics. That's like my main.
That's the big thing. Yeah.
Big thing. Yeah. How about you?
I think it's the same thing. Yeah. Every time that people start jumping into mechanics, I'm just like, where am I exactly in the entire game here? I can't really understand where I'm being interjected or inserted into the game. So for me, it's always got to be general to specific.
And they also tend to. I notice that when people jump into mechanics, they tend to like afterwards they'll jump into something else, and now it's like just random rules,
Bits of information
that they're teaching
Right.
instead of just like a flow.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I feel learning
And
how to.
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, if you're practicing or if you want to learn how to teach games better, I think it's just all about practice. Like, just keep on doing it, asking for feedback. Try to teach, anybody, your roommates. That's the biggest thing. Just keep on practicing,
your gaming
right?
group,
Yeah. Yes.
Agree.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Will.
Okay, on the flip side, this is the other one.
What is good to look this? How do you make people? Oh, that's funny. How do you make people happy?
Yeah.
To ask questions or like as a teacher?
Sort of more
Maybe.
of like, it's okay to not understand.
Oh yeah. I think that kind of opening it up and saying like, for me, it's if you are stuck on something, just please let me know, and I will hammer it home and I'll make sure that you understand it before we move on. That's kind of the thing that I always do whenever it's in person. It's like those checks that you talked about, Javi. Like, hey, is everything good?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good. Like, I try to do that very regularly just to make sure that everyone is comfortable.
I like to preface particularly confusing parts of games by saying, now this is this is usually a confusing part.
Yeah.
So I understand if anybody has questions, right? And so that way people will feel comfortable like, oh, okay, so for other people it's confusing. So it's okay that I'm confused by it, right? So I think just
and it kind of primes them to pay attention just a little bit more to the nitty-gritty details when you preface it with that.
Yeah.
All right. And
Okay,
I know
I
you
have
guys feel this one
Go ahead.
because we're all
The designated players
Yeah.
always learning to
Oh, yeah.
Monique, yeah.
and also, speaking as someone who teaches games, especially in our group and in our family, please be kind or be patient with us because we can't understand immediately everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes when it's on the end game and they're gonna say, I didn't understand this earlier. You didn't teach it. We sometimes forget. We're so sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens. Yeah.
A lot of practice.
It's difficult to learn like
right?
rules, everything.
Yeah.
Alright. Okay, so maybe we could open this one for the questions of the ones who are watching, because right now it's coming in. See, like Fred's asking this one: have you experienced someone co-teaching a game and it sabotages your flow?
Yes. Yeah. That does happen.
They're sounding yes.
I guess the follow up there is how did you overcome the situation?
Oh my God.
Move to
I
the next
sometimes-
table.
I sometimes do it to Monique.
Yeah, I was saying yes because
Yeah.
every time it's been, in my experience, it's because Naveen is sabotaging me. Like when I teach games to my sisters, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Naveen gets excited. and
Sometimes
jumps in.
I after Monique will say something, I want to give an example because I'm a very examples kind of person. Like, okay, you take a card, you do this, XYZ happens. Sometimes Monique will just teach it, and then that's when I want to interject and be like, okay, so off of what she's saying, this is what it looks like, and sometimes that throws off the flow.
Because for me, it's all about interjecting examples at the right time, like not for everything. And so, it's you. It's you.
Yeah. Sometimes that does. I do that.
So Ruel was saying, I like reminding new players about the learning game. We're here to have fun and learn the game, no pressure.
Yeah.
We can play an entire learning game or play just a few turns, then restart.
Yep. Exactly.
Yes, that is excellent. That's perfect. That is actually really good.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is the best comment of all.
Oh.
That's
That's,
funny.
that takes, because every time we have this show, we actually have this one comment that will make the whole show. I think this is the whole show.
Yeah.
Thank you for guesting us, Monique.
Yeah, we're so
Thank
happy.
you very much. We're so happy for
That's awesome.
So
So
there
I
you
have
go.
a question.
Go on, Ron. Go on.
So here in when we do conventions here in the Philippines, culturally, Monique, you're familiar that Filipinos are a little bit more shy when it comes to things that sort of test their um, mental acuity or anything that's like a test of intelligence, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I always get this. I'm gonna say it in Filipino and then I'll just translate. But basically, oh, pang matalino lang yan.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
So they're gonna say it's only for intelligent people. Like when you're
Mm.
offering a game, like hi ma'am, sir, if you would like to try and play this game, and they're gonna tell me, oh no, no thanks, it's only for intelligent people.
Oh.
Do you guys experience that there?
Yeah, your cards have words and numbers. No, sir.
they have they have more than 2 sentences.
I only for the heavy games I've noticed, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I
Like-
have heard it once at a convention where a guy, somebody I don't even know, refused to play Terra Mystica unless everybody knew exactly what they were doing.
Oh,
But
that's
I-
different.
wow.
I
That's
think
like the
I
opposite.
think that was because he didn't want to go over a 45-minute teach, and he just wanted to play the game.
Yeah, that's an opposite
Mhm.
situation. No, but
Right.
typically it's only if we have like Lisboa or like a longer game that people are already have heard its reputation has preceded the game, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So it's
So
only
they
during those times.
oh, okay.
They'll say, "Oh, I'm not ready for that," or "That's too
Right.
heavy for me."
Okay.
Like,
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So
but otherwise,
how do
it
you
still doesn't happen.
do you try? Do you still try to encourage them, or do you just okay?
Yeah,
it's
but
okay.
I try
you can move
to.
on?
I try not to be pushy because I
Mhm.
want everybody to play
Mhm.
the sort of games, But especially if the concern is that it's going to be too complicated for them to understand. For me, I think anybody can understand them.
Yeah.
So I'll just try
Right.
to gently say like, "Oh, we'll walk you through it or whatever it takes." But if it's really a no, then it's a no.
Yeah, that's one
Yeah.
other cultural thing that here we have been sort of professing over the years. Um, I also get this reaction. Oh, we don't know how to play. It's like, yes, we're gonna
Yeah.
teach you. That's the whole point. but it's so completely out there for them that we have this. This is for the general public when we have conventions and we're doing showcases, and we get passerbys and oh, I don't know how to play. I don't want to play. Like
Hmm.
yes, or even I have a friend. Bro, you can join us online. We're gonna play this dungeon. D&D Adventure Begins.
Hmm.
Oh, I don't know how to play it. I'm gonna teach. Do you guys
Yeah.
have that?
So we're inviting you to learn it.
Do you
that
guys have that?
happens. We actually have a friend who's in our gaming group. His girlfriend, who also plays
Mhm.
sometimes with us, she has anxiety with learning rules.
Yep.
So I think that
Mhm.
that is definitely a thing for some people. It's like they don't want to bog down the table, or like they're worried about the social aspect of having to
Okay.
learn rules in a public setting.
Yeah.
So that does happen. And so
Yeah, fair enough. There's some people that like they feel that if they're not understanding and they have to ask questions, that they're holding back the
Yeah.
whole table from
Yeah.
actually playing the game.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
So we do get that.
Yeah.
That happens a lot, actually. I think more that situation. Hmm.
All
Okay.
right. I have
And-
another question
yeah.
here.
Go ahead.
There, it's from Kyo. How about a younger audience? What age was the youngest you have taught?
Oh, that's a fun question. How old was TJ? 4?
Yeah, 4-year-old.
4, yeah. We
Yeah.
taught my nephew a Haba
You
game.
taught
There's
your
Haba-
nephew Lisboa?
No.
No, like,
now I know you are an amazing teacher.
You should replace Rodney if that happened.
Yeah.
no, I think he was 4 years old at the
4
time.
or 5. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a publisher
Okay.
called Haba, if you're
Yep,
familiar
right.
with them.
Yes.
They
Yeah,
do
yeah.
all the kids' games. So we taught him that. But for kids, it's different. It's very different
Mm.
because they understand differently. All
Yeah.
kids, they have their a different attention span, and they can't
Mhm.
really
Yes.
focus. So fortunately, kids' games are typically short in rule set,
Yep.
so it's
Yeah.
not as big of an issue. So
Yeah.
It's
Animal.
actually
yeah,
funny that when they
Honga.
try to play something that you taught them, sometimes they don't really completely remember the
Wow.
game.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've taught my nephews Get Bit, and you can teach it in just a few minutes. And apparently, I left the game with them, and they tried to teach my sister, and they made up their own game.
Yeah, they do
That's
that.
awesome.
They do that. They make
Yeah.
up their own rules. And honestly, if they are not understanding the original rule set and they make up their own rules and they're having fun, I just let them do it.
Yeah.
Just let them playing
That's the
the
whole
game.
point.
Yeah, they're still having fun. They're still learning
Enjoy.
something. So
Right.
Yes. Yes. Agree.
yeah.
Go on, Ron, with
Cool.
your question. But
So
before you ask them, I cut you off earlier. But if you guys still have question for them, I think this is the time, and we have a few minutes left, so maybe you could get in your questions. All right, Ron, you were saying before I cut you off.
oh,
Or we
I
asked this
already
one.
asked my question.
Okay.
Okay,
Do
go
you have
ahead.
jobs outside of before you play?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're both
Um,
in the healthcare field. I'm a chiropractor, and Monique's a nurse.
I'm a nurse practitioner, and so I work 3 days a week though. So that's what makes it so that we can put out videos.
Mhm.
And he works 4 days a
4
week.
days a week. Yeah.
So pretty much when we're not working, we're doing this.
Especially with the
How long-
pandemic.
Yeah, especially with pandemic.
Yeah, it's not like people are going anywhere. So
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
long, how long does a typical episode take for you to shoot? And the whole process, how long does it take?
Just the filming part of it, or like setup,
or the
and-
whole process.
Okay.
Oh, the
Yeah,
whole
from
process.
setup.
So
set up the filming to editing.
yeah,
Oh, the actual filming.
the whole
So
part of it.
it depends. So if the game is pretty short, so something like even a game like Fort, right? That's
Mhm.
it's not that long. It's not that complicated. We could probably film it in the morning, and if we really had to, we could edit it and then have it out in the afternoon.
Yeah, we
Same
could.
day.
Ten,
If it's a
potentially, yeah.
short game like that. If it's a game like what did we just film? We did Paladins
did
of the West
Paladins,
Kingdom.
yeah.
Have you know the West Kingdom trilogy?
Yes.
Yes.
So Paladins of the West Kingdom is a long game, and it's also
Yep.
a little bit more complicated to teach than the other one, the first one in the series. So
Yep.
a game like that, sometimes just editing alone can take like 6 hours.
Mhm.
Yeah, Paladins is
Who
much more
edits?
complicated than
Yeah.
Architects.
Yes, it is way
Yeah.
different.
I edit.
Is it
I
Nadeem?
edit.
You edit?
Mhm.
Wow.
I edit all of them.
6
Nadeem
hours.
does more like he does the lighting. He does all the setup.
Yeah,
He,
all the setup,
keeps
breakdown, keep
the
everything
equipment.
organized. Yeah,
He'll do the set down because I'm tired by the
yeah.
end
I don't
of
blame
it.
her. Yeah, she taught it. So yeah,
And I taught him how to upload everything because like a lot of people don't realize that after you make the video, you have to export it. And so if it's a long
Yes.
video that can take like an hour and a half or even
Mhm.
longer sometimes, then you
Yep.
have to upload it to YouTube. You have to put in
Mhm.
all of the links. You have to put in the description. You have to
tags, all that.
like backlink it to Board Game Geek. You have to put all the tags.
Mhm.
He has to set like any kind of links that you put. So that in itself is also a
Yeah.
long time.
Mhm.
So he
Yes.
does that part.
And that's the reason why we always do this live. Because
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
tried editing before. It was like, yeah, this takes forever. Let's just go on and do it live.
Yeah.
Editing is the
No,
worst
but
part.
we also realized that there was already a lot of reviewers, and more often you guys also have access to games earlier. We won't get the games on time anyway. It's always like a few months, maybe even years late when it gets here.
Mhm.
So we felt that it was more of like we wanted to talk about the people in the community.
Yeah,
and
that's
sort of
good.
really more of the
Mhm.
that approach. Why we kind of shifted from talking about specific games to just talking about the hobby in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ruel, by the way. Ruel's awesome.
See? Ruel gets it. No
Yeah.
editing.
Yeah.
just
Oh,
There you go,
yeah.
yeah.
Ruel.
Yeah, just
Well,
lots of
it's
on-air
just-
On-air
apologies.
apologies. I love it.
Or no apologies at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
It is what it
it
is.
happened.
Ruel just floods the internet.
Ruel is an expert
Yes.
streamer. Oh my
Oh,
god.
Yes,
is there a
yes, I love
secret
it.
blooper collection?
I would like to know about this one also.
You know what? We don't save it.
Unfortunately,
Unfortunately,
that's something that I want to do this
No.
year. I'm gonna set them aside. I told myself I would do that. But yes, there have been lots and lots of bloopers, lots of
Sometimes
swearing.
she'll be like, Naveen, come over here. Check out this part. And I'll be like, oh no, what did I say?
Sometimes we cut out stuff that's like, oh, we shouldn't say that.
That definitely happened.
Yeah.
So when that
Hey,
happens, you have to reshoot.
No.
No,
you
no,
just- no. It's not like
Oh.
it's not gonna break the video. Like
Yeah.
the content is still there. It's just sometimes we'll make a comment or like we'll just say something maybe rude to
Or my
somebody,
voice
or,
will crack, or something will happen that's weird.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah,
or sometimes we'll stumble upon our words, and when that happens, we pause and we say it again in
Yeah.
the moment. So then we'll just cut out the
oh, okay.
first take.
it's like we
Right,
take multiple takes within the filming session,
Mhm,
so that we
mhm.
have opportunities to cut what was awkward or,
just so
or
it's a little bit
strange.
cleaner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Oh.
used to do that too. Like a 5-minute video was like a 30-minute actual video because it was just repeating and repeating and repeating. The first few episodes of this vlog was like that, the original format. It's like,
That's awesome.
anyways,
Are you?
here's a question from Mark. Do you guys
Ooh.
ever plan to make your own board game in the
in the
future?
future? You know,
I'm not creative enough, unfortunately.
one day
I wish.
we talked about it, and then we pitched the idea to each other, and we were like, no, we're never making
Yeah.
that game. It's not good. So
Even though like I've seen so many mechanisms and things, I just don't know how to get creative about that.
I think we would be too strict on our designs if we
Yeah.
were to do it. We would just, because we play so many games and we know, like, in our opinion, we feel like the games that we like are like, those are really good designs,
Mhm.
right? And nothing we could make could ever add up.
Yeah.
I could ever go to that. A lot of
I feel
designers
like-
are mathematicians.
I feel yes, they are. Yeah, I feel like I would accidentally
Yep.
steal ideas and not
You just-
realize that I just plagiarized somebody else's game.
reskin code
Yeah.
names or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
All
probably
Yeah.
not.
I
Oh,
want,
Oh, thank you.
not non-threatening stance. Thank you.
and for a certain animal.
Oh,
Oh,
Dexter.
Dexter. Yeah.
He loves that blanket. I've had to wash that blanket
Several times. yeah.
several times now.
And Ruel says, share your bloopers.
Oh,
On
we
your
should.
Patreon.
There we go.
That is a good
Actually,
idea.
that was the point, I think.
Yeah.
We
should
will
that.
do it. We promise. That's fine.
So how is it working with Rodney?
He's the best.
He's good.
So
Yeah.
heavy Euro game based on a day with Dexter. It would be a lot of barking and growling.
Yeah. Not happy when the postman comes.
Yes, doorbells and aggression. But no, Rodney is fantastic. So the way that he is on screen, he's literally like that as
Yeah.
a human.
Wow.
Even he when we have text message exchanges, he'll send us video texts. It's always a video, and it's
Oh,
because he wants
okay.
to be more personal, and he's very kind and very respectful. He's just everything that he portrays.
Portrays
online.
on his channel.
Like
is
Mr.
basically
Rogers.
Who he is, yeah.
Mhm. We call him the board game dad.
Is Chaz
Yeah.
the same?
I mean, I followed.
Yeah, Chaz is awesome.
Yeah,
He's-
Chaz is also the same, yeah.
He's very like a jokey online, like he's like a jokester, but he's he's very down to earth.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I would say that he's a lot more down to earth. I would say
Yeah.
in person,
Mhm.
right? But he's very funny.
All right.
Hello.
Someone.
Hi.
That's not true. We behave most of
Oh.
the time.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Point to them. Point to Jake. Yes, we are. It's also because this is the middle of the day. This is like the afternoon for us. So
Yeah.
Normally, it will be a little bit in the evening.
Oh.
Behind the camera, we have drinks.
Oh.
So we still have some level of professionalism in the afternoon. You just wait for the night.
So they're suggesting this one. How about a game teaching board games to game tables? So you have
This is the,
resources to
no,
put
this is the
work-
deck building game.
That is interesting. Like a pamphlet.
There you
Yeah.
go. All right. So last few questions, and then we'll be over because I know it's late for Monique and Naveen. But we thank you. Any other
Aw.
questions?
So it says.
Thank
What's
you.
this? Oh wait, that doesn't happen. Oops. We haven't made that official yet. All right.
Wow.
But we thank you for accepting our invitation.
Yeah,
We learned
thanks
a
for
lot.
having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Right.
And
And I guess
someone-
before we kind of close out, do you guys have any plugs or anything that you'd like to, kind of pass over
Any
to
new
our
things we
audience?
would
We
like
have
to
to
look
watch
forward
out.
to in the next few
Look out
months
for.
for
In the next
before
few
you
months,
play?
Sure.
uh,
Well, right now we're in the middle of we're doing a series of all the West Kingdom games. So
Mhm.
we filmed and released Architects. Paladins will be out tomorrow.
tomorrow
So
morning, our time.
Mhm.
yeah, so it's technically like late night for you guys.
Yeah.
It should be out,
Mhm.
and then we'll be filming Viscounts and putting that out probably in about a week or two.
And then afterwards, we're starting the Uwe Rosenberg. So if anybody's
Oh,
familiar with that
okay.
designer,
Mhm.
we're
Alright.
gonna be doing a whole designer series. We're gonna try to play as many of his games as possible, starting with the Thailand games.
Yep.
And in May, we're gonna be doing videos for Tricarion and Anachrony,
Mhm.
like a little mind
Oh,
class.
Tricarion. Nice.
Yeah, Tricarion is awesome. That's like one of my
Yes.
favorite games of all
Yeah,
time.
that's one of
And,
the top ones.
We're doing like 2 videos per game, one just for the base game, another for the expansion for
Mhm.
both Tricarion and Anachrony. So
Yeah.
we hope
Okay.
it's gonna be a busy month.
Yeah, it'll be busy, but
Yeah.
we're excited.
Yeah.
That's right.
And these
and
are
some-
also sort of connected to Watch It Played.
So those are the ones that are going to be on our channel. The ones on Watch It Played are different videos
Yeah, so,
altogether.
Okay.
so typically on Watch It
Gotcha.
Play, we do gameplays of games that he's done tutorials for.
Right. Mhm.
So if he hasn't done a
Mhm,
tutorial
mhm.
for it, it's usually not.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
because what we do
So-
on Rodney's channel is we just do the gameplay aspect of it, and so we reference his tutorial video at the very beginning of the video, saying, if you're not familiar with this game, Rodney's already made a
Right.
video for it,
Mhm.
and it's linked here, and you can go check it out.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what we mostly do on his channel. So
Yeah.
it's a lot quicker into the game and out of it.
Mhm. Thank you, by the
Yeah.
way.
Kat says she's
Nice.
starstruck, and someone private messaged me and said she's really a fan, but she's really too shy to say anything. But she's learning a lot. She says thank you. So there you
Yeah,
go.
super thank you, Monique and Naveen. This is such an honor that you guys
Thank you. No,
Thank you
yeah.
for having us.
Thanks for having me.
shared your
Hope to
time with
visit,
us.
Yeah.
one
we wanna
day
come.
and play games with you
And
all.
again, it
Absolutely.
it helps revitalize and keep sort of the fire of board gaming hobby here in the Philippines as well. And I hope it also
Yeah.
spreads a bit of representation to
Yes.
there and here. So, and of course, we want to keep promoting you guys here
Oh,
because we're
thank you.
super, super proud.
Oh,
So-
thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
yeah.
Thank
Everything
you very
so much.
much.
Well, we'll definitely
Yeah,
be
we,
traveling
we
to the
won't
Philippines
keep
one
you.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Right.
no-
They're
We won't
still
keep you
coming
for
in.
too long.
When you visit, when you
Thank
you.
go back home, just give us a message and let's game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as it
You're-
opens up, we're going.
Yeah, our
actually.
plan is
As soon as it
to
opens up, we're gonna run the convention in Taal.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so everything's now coming in. So
Yeah.
cool. We'll wait for an acronym.
Oh, okay.
And
That's
then my
awesome.
wife's here. Hello, that's my wife.
Oh,
Hi.
hi.
Yes, Desky.
They actually
please
have
tell your wife.
they have tried it actually.
Yeah,
They
we
did.
tried Folded Wishes.
Yeah, Folded Wishes. We
I
have tried
actually
it. Yeah.
really liked it.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
It is hard. It's
Yeah.
that box that says 15 minutes. It's a lie.
Yeah, 50 minutes. Maybe
No, no,
per player.
It's a lot.
It can be 15 minutes. Like if
It's
you're
right
not, if you don't play well, it's just
See, 15 minutes. I'm like,
It
that's a
is
lie,
like-
Ron. We've been playing for an hour and a half now.
It's true.
All right. So that's
right.
it. Thank you,
Thank you very
everybody.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monique.
Thank you.
Eileen. We hope
Yeah.
that you can join us next time, sometime, and
Sure.
collaborate again. Till
That'd be
then,
awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank
To everyone
you,
else
everybody.
watching, keep gaming.
stay safe,
Yeah.
for old
everyone.
games.
Stay safe.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye.